that's all just, it's all backwards from perhaps where it ought to go. One interesting side point, again, that I don't know a lot of us know, is that of the citizenry in Israel, about 1 million of Israel's citizens are Arabs. And they have equal voting rights and equal rights along with the Jews in Israel. And I'm bringing that up as a side point because it proves to me anyway that if you have tolerance, you can live together. And the Jews set up a government that allowed Arabs to be part of.
Just a quickie on that?
Yes.
When Israel became an independent state, the Israeli government and the Ben Gurion said that every Arab that lives within Israeli boundaries is automatically an Israeli citizen. This wasn't a special purpose. It was something that was given to every Arab who lived within the state of Israel.
So, I mean, folks, think about that for a second. Just think about that, weigh out what we're talking about here, and it gives you a whole different perspective than perhaps you may have heard or seen on the news and so forth. And we are starting to run out of time here. What's going to happen in the future? I mean, and you've got about 6 minutes to put this all together. Good luck to you, brother. You know, in terms of land and prophecy, what do you see from a biblical perspective is happening from here on and forward?
Okay. The prophet Jeremiah in several places speaks of a time in which they will say, peace, peace, and there shall be no peace. And he's particularly speaking of the territory that Israel was in. So although we might apply this on a worldwide basis, by extension, the prophecy specifically applies to end times in Israel. And this is what the peace process is all about. The Oslo peace process that began in 1992, they will say peace, peace, and there will be no peace. They said peace in Gaza, we'll give up Gaza. The Israelis are foolishly going to give up parts of the West Bank. We don't know how much yet. And for the sake of peace. And they want peace. But there will be no peace. Because there are definite scriptures that show that there's going to be a future Israeli-Arab war. I don't mean just a war between Israel and the Palestinians, but a war that will engage a number of the Arab states that are round about. We won't take time to read these prophecies, but in Isaiah 11, the 11th verse speaks about Israel's regathering during end times, and in verse 14, it shows that the Jews are regathered, that they will have a war against those who are on the west, the Philistines who are on the west, and it's referring to Philistine territory, which is Gaza. It was ancient Philistine territory, and they're going to win that war. So that verifies that Gaza is going to stay in Arab hands until this future war. Then it speaks of Israel in verse 14, then having a war with Ammon, Moab, and Edom on the east. These are ancient territories that are now a part of modern Jordan. Amman is the capital city of Jordan. So Jordan will be involved in this war. And it says in verse 14 that the children of Ammon and Moab will obey Israel as a result of this war. So they will get territory on the eastern bank of Jordan, which is a part of the nation of Jordan, perhaps the whole nation of Jordan. Syria and Egypt just came out in the news this week, are getting information on, valuable information on nuclear development. And it is just a matter of time that they both have the atom bomb or nuclear bombs. So Syria is mentioned in a part of the future war. Damascus will become a ruinous heap. And Zechariah 14, Zephaniah 2, speaks of a war in end times in which Israel will have a battle with the inhabitants of Gaza and defeat them. And then in verses 8 through 10, it speaks of them having a battle with Moab and Ammon, which is Jordan, and they will defeat them. So Israel will regain, not only would they give up at the Gaza Strip and the West Bank but additional territory, southern Lebanon and Jordan. Now we feel that after this, in Ezekiel 38, which all Bible students of prophecy, whatever their denomination, agree is a future war that the nations of the north come down to Israel. In Ezekiel 38:10, it speaks of Israel this time dwelling in peace and safety, unwalled villages. We feel that after the next Arab-Israeli war, the UN and the Western powers will accept the new borders, but they'll say, enough is enough, no more wars in the Middle East, we're going to demilitarize. And this is how Israel will become a land of unwalled villages, but dwelling prosperously at peace. We could give more scriptures to buttress this fact that they will demilitarize and leave their future defense in the hands of the Western powers. Now, going on quickly, there will be this invasion of the hordes of the north, Gog, and the forces of Russia with certain allies in verse 6 that I mentioned. Zechariah 14, speaking of the same war, says, I will gather all nations against Jerusalem. And then God will fight for Israel as he fought for them in the days of old. The enemies will be defeated. Christ's kingdom will be set up in Jerusalem as the capital of his kingdom on earth. And in Zechariah, the 12th chapter, verses 9 through 11, it speaks of the Jews at that time as they're receive this great deliverance from these invading forces. They will look upon him whom they have pierced. They'll realize that actually the power of the Lord that is leading them to victory is none other than Christ.
Okay, Ken, I hate to cut you off, but we are out of time. So thank you for that summation on the historical perspective, not only looking back, but looking forward through prophecy. And Ken, thank you for being with us this morning. It's been very, very fascinating. I would love to have another program where we can develop this even further, and maybe we can do that in the future. Folks, we've been talking about Israel and Gaza, looking at it historically, and hopefully you've heard some things here that will really help you to analyze this from a different perspective. But just realize God is over in control of the whole matter when it comes down to the final say. For Jonathan and Rick, this is Christian Questions. Does Israel belong in Gaza? Just wait and see. But till then, think about it.